Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today I want to do a past life reading. So this is going to be who you were in a past life, and we're going to kind of take a look at who you were, what was life like, and also anything that you have carried forth with you into this lifetime. Just as, as always, disclaimer, this is a general reading, so keep that in mind while you are listening to this. Take anything that resonates and leave the rest behind. I do offer 2 past life options on my Etsy store if you would like to check that out. That information is in the description box below. So again, it is a general reading. Just take what resonates, leave the rest behind. You know yourself best. Typically when we are speaking of past lives, if something is resonating with you, there's elements of it that still resonate in this lifetime as well. So let's jump right in. We have 3 options today. Option number 1 is going to be Selenite. Option number 2 is going to be Merlinite. And option number 3 is pink Amethyst. So take a few minutes, ground, center yourself, and ask yourself which pile has a message for you. Pause the video if you need to, and let's get started. Hi, pile number 1. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be your reading if you chose the Selenite. Look at the flash on that one. I'm going to put your stone right there and we're going to get started. So this is going to be a past life reading, who you were in a past life, anything that comes up, anything that is ready to, to be revealed. We're going to start with tarot, then we're going to take a look at all the other oracle cards. 8 of Swords, the World, the Moon. Very interesting, pile number 1. High Priestess, 7 of Swords. All right, so for my pile number 1s, for many of you, this was a very spiritual past life that's coming through. And so before we get started, before we really jump in, just remember, if you haven't checked out the disclaimer at the beginning, make sure you go back, but it is a general reading, so take it as it resonates. But for my pile number 1s, this feels like it was a very spiritual lifetime that's coming in. So we do have many different past lives, and sometimes some are more prominent than others, especially as far as what we carry forth into this lifetime. And it feels like the one that's coming up for you, pile number 1, had kind of very spiritual undertones. There was a lot going on with the subconscious and the mind. There was a lot to overcome. I'm going to be honest, pile number 1, this was not an easy lifetime. I do not get that it was easy. I feel like for many of you, it was a lot of work, a lot of hardships, not just tangible material hardships, but it almost feels like for my pile number 1s, there was also, very spiritual hardships, very hard lessons that you had to go through, that you had to learn in this past life. So with the 8 of Swords, the World, the Moon, High Priestess, and the 7 of Swords, for many of you, you were almost a prisoner of your own mind. There was a sense of a lot of heavy beliefs around who you were and what you were capable of. And it feels very generational for many of you. It was almost like this was passed down to you and you were just continuing a cycle that was set before you. And it was very hard for you to break free from this. In this past life, there was an opportunity for you to close the cycle. I will be honest, pile number 1, and I'm going to say it because I see it, take it as it resonates. I don't feel for many of you, you were able to close this cycle out. It feels like you were kind of in the cycle, you continued it, and you couldn't really find a way out. There was an inability to see the truth for many of you, an inability to see the light as well. And light and truth can kind of be very similar. But for many of you, you were struggling with seeing things for what they truly were, because through your filter, you were not able to see them for what they were. For many of you, you were unable to push past the subconscious beliefs that were keeping you in a state of material and spiritual poverty. And again, this was a very hard lifetime, so I do feel like this could be triggering for some of you. Now, for many of you, You are very intuitive. You have very strong spiritual gifts. Clairsentience, clairvoyance coming in very strongly, and claircognizance is coming in very strongly. And just overall very intuitive. And this was kind of developed in this past life. Now, you were very intuitive in this past life, but at the same time, you had a hard time trusting and believing. So it was almost like you were constantly looking for proof as to if what you were receiving was true or not. And there was a lack of trust and an inability to trust what you were getting, which was causing a lot of issues with with breaking free from certain beliefs and certain conditioning. For many of you, it was ideas around that you couldn't be more than what was set out for you. And I do feel for many in this pile, you were born to a family, or you were, your upbringing was very limited, especially when it came to finances, and that kind of set the stage for you to not have belief in yourself and for you to believe that life was supposed to be hard. Now, for those of you that picked, if you picked pile number 1, there's a good chance that even in this lifetime, you still view many limitations around yourself, and you still struggle with the idea of breaking free from, what you view is what you deserve. Because there's this sense of you're boxed in and you're struggling to break free. For some of you, there's a need to get in touch with the subconscious. There's a need to get in touch with your truth and to kind of bear truth to your own reality and highlight. There's a need to highlight your belief systems. For many of you, doing shadow work would be very helpful, as well as perhaps going to therapy. CBT therapy coming in very strongly, because there's a lot of belief systems that are continuously passed down. Now, I will say, I'm getting for a few of you, you were actually born into the same ancestral line. So we have soul family, and then we have, like the family that we have in this current lifetime. For many of you, you are born right back into that same line, because you're kind of coming back. Part of your blueprint is to come back and try to break through the cycle this time. Because like I said, for many of you, it doesn't feel like you completely broke free from this in this past life. The opportunity was there, but I do feel for most of my pile number 1s, you were unable to break the cycle, and you kind of reincarnated pretty fast. Like, it feels like you kind of just passed on and kind of almost came right back in, and you came into the same family line, into the same line of ancestors, into the same family, which doesn't always happen, but it feels, I am getting that intuitively, pile number 1. Let's take a look at the archetypes that we have here for pile number 1. Mother, light attributes, nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy in giving birth to life. Shadow attributes, smothering or abandoning children, instilling guilt in children for becoming independent. Yeah. This is what I was picking up on. So for many of you, what did we say? Generational. It's coming from generations of the same thing. For some of you, this could have been a mother in the past life kind of instilling this, but I feel like this is just confirming. This is spirit saying, yes, this was a generational thing. And this was something that was passed down, and it's kind of continuously replaying. Like, if you look back on your family circle, for those of you that resonate with this message, you're going to see that same cycle very clearly repeating itself. And it could come from the mother side. Some of you could have a mother that you perhaps don't get along with, or that you have issues with, or that is a mother that is not in the light attributes of this archetype, but on the shadow attribute of it. So take it as it resonates. But I feel like overall, this is more of a confirmation that this was generational, that this was a cycle that has been repeating itself. Look at this. Angel, helping those in need with no expectations in return. Shadow attributes, acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. I cannot speak today. All right, so pile number 1. What I feel like what this angel card is telling us is that you were very connected to spirit. But like I said, there was doubts in this connection. You were very connected to the angelic realm, spirit as a whole, but especially the angelic realm. Archangel Michael, Chamuel, Raphael, and Azrael, very close to this pile. And you could still feel this connection in this current lifetime. But there was many doubts, and it didn't allow you to truly trust in that guidance, because again, there was a lot of heaviness placed on you from a young age, and it was just generations and generations of it repeating itself. And then we have warrior. Light attributes, strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will, heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice in conquering the ego. Shadow attributes, trading ethical principles for victory at any cost, indifference to the suffering inflicted on others. This past lifetime made you a warrior. It was not easy at all, pile number 1. You came out of this with a lot of strength and skill and discipline. And I feel for many of you, you decided, like I said, to reincarnate into the same family line so that you can, it's almost like a second chance to clear this out. Because you did do a lot of work in this past life, but there was still some limitations that you were not able to clear out. So you're coming back here to clear this out. And for many of you, I don't feel this was a very long time ago. Like I said, it feels like for many of you, you kind of went through this lifetime and you just reincarnated pretty soon after. Like you passed on and then reincarnated very soon after. It doesn't feel like a large gap. For some reason, I'm getting that some of you may have been around in the 1920s. So that could be a time period that you connect with very deeply. Take that as it resonates. I want to take a look at the shadow. I picked these 3 shadow cards just to see what was happening with the shadow self. And it's very interesting because this specific pile so far is very much a lot of shadow work needed to be done and was happening for you in this past life. Atonement, yep. Obsession. That 8 of Swords there definitely has me agreeing with this obsession card. I feel like the obsession was, what can possibly go wrong, what's not going to work. There was a lot of obsessive thoughts, and it was all kind of just what could go wrong. There was very little focus on what could go right or hope. It just felt like a lot of just, when we look at the cards even, we can see the blues here. There's very little bright color. Everything is kind of dark and muted, and it speaks to the mood that you would be in. A lot of emotions, a lot of fear in this past life. Colorless angel. Yeah, what did I say? A lack of, it just feels like a lack of possibility, a lack of hope, a lack of optimism for this pile. And there was this energy in this past life of you could have completed the cycle, and I feel like you set out at soul level to do that, but it was a little bit too much. And this is why you're coming back. There was a lot of heaviness, a lot of responsibility in this past life. And you're getting, it's almost like a second chance, a do-over. And in this lifetime that you're in right now, pile number 1, hope and optimism is one of the best things that you can cultivate and have. Also, be careful with the overthinking, because this pile, I feel like you carried this forth from this past life where there's a lot of overthinking. There's a lot of, worst case scenario, a little bit of anxiety, maybe even depression type of energy here. But it's almost like what could go wrong, and there's a need to look at what could go right, because the mind is so good at telling us what could go wrong. But don't forget to take a look at what could work out what could actually work out for you, what is meant for you, pile number one. And yeah, this was a very painful past life. This was very heavy, very dense. It did clear karma for you. I do feel that for some of you, this was so heavy because there was a need to kind of clear out some karma. And remember, karma is not good or bad, it's just cause and effect. But there was some karma to kind of clear, payback, work with that was done. And now you're coming into this current lifetime with a lot of tools, with a lot of discipline, with a lot of strength, and a lot of angelic help for this group. I actually did pick out some angel cards. Let's see. Let's actually take a look at those because I'm seeing a lot of angelic help for this pile. All right, so we have 3 of them. Beauty, Archangel Uriel. Yeah, and this is about you having the opportunity to focus on the beauty of life because that was not possible in this past life. Archangel Uriel can also be one of the angels that's working with you in addition to the ones I mentioned earlier. Strength, Archangel Michael, absolutely. Very strong pile. This pile should definitely be working with Archangel Michael and the throat chakra. But also focusing on the beauty of life, the little moments that make it worth it. The little miracles of life. Release, Archangel Michael. Yeah. There's a lot that you're releasing in this lifetime, and there's a lot that you're going to be clearing. I do feel for many of you, you will break the cycle. I feel like for a few of you, you're already doing that. You're already breaking free from certain ways of thinking. For others of you, you're on the way to do that now. Very interesting energy. Actually, let's take a look at these. Oh, I thought it was more, but I guess it's 3. These are from the past life deck. Look at this, pile number 1. Angel as part of your archetype and angels. And what did I say? There's a strong connection to angels for this pile. If you feel drawn to work with the angels, I feel like for pile number 1, some of you are like these people that have like angels all over your house. Like, you know how some people kind of use angel decor, or you're used to working with angels, or you're very curious about angels. Work with angels if you feel called to. For many of you, you also have many guardian angels. I'm seeing like 5 to 6. Typically, people have about 2 to 3. So I'm seeing like 5 to 6 is the number that I'm getting. For many of you, you have additional help in the form of angels. And you can also channel angels and communicate with angels. Angel oracle cards would be very helpful for my pile number 1s. And work with your angels and let them know what you need and what you need help with. Remember, the angels are there to help us. They just need to be asked. Forgiveness. Yeah. I feel like for my pile number 1s, this is about forgiveness of self. There was a lot in this past life that you were very harsh on with yourself. I think that in this current lifetime, you're also still carrying a lot of, harsh energy towards yourself, because I don't feel like this is towards other people. For many of you, this is towards yourself. Practice forgiveness. Practice forgiving yourself. Practice being kind with yourself and compassionate with yourself. Scribe or writer, yeah. Some of you could definitely do some automatic writing with the angels. You could be a writer. You could want to write. In this past life, it was quite possible that you spent a lot of time writing. I feel like for some of you, you may have been writers in this past life. But I feel like for the grand majority of you, it was more of you were able to kind of express yourself through writing. And throat chakra came up. So it feels like the throat and writing and communication is very important for this group. For some of you, write down your beliefs and kind of break them down and see if they're truly what you believe in, or if it's something that has been passed down to you, and work on replacing your beliefs that are no longer serving you, of course. Voyage, you already have all the answers. Yeah, you're very connected. We had the High Priestess here as well. You're very connected. For my pile number 1, the biggest issue is trusting yourself. That's the biggest issue for pile number one. And that is what you're working on. The more you're able to trust yourself, the more you can break free from this. Because when you trust yourself, pile number one, you know that you are free to make decisions and choices, and that you can trust yourself to see yourself through. That even if it's the wrong choice, and there's no such thing in my opinion as right or wrong, but even if it's not the best choice for you, that you can course correct and move forward and find a different way of doing things. Keep that in mind, pile number one, because I feel like part of your purpose in this lifetime is learning to trust yourself and trust spirit. For some of you, you have a water sign, North Node. Pisces North Node is really standing out to me very loudly. Take that as it resonates, of course. Escapist, come home to yourself. Yeah. For many of you in pile number one, there was this energy in this past life of so much fear, so much overthinking, kind of feeling trapped. And I feel like for many of you, you were kind of avoiding dealing with that. And in this lifetime, you're being asked to come home to yourself, to bear witness to your own truth, to find your truth, connect to it, and move forward confidently, knowing that you know what your truth is. That's a very beautiful message. Let's take a look at the astrology cards that I picked to see anything that could have been relevant, if I can speak, to this past life. Sagittarius, the Voyager. Yeah, absolutely. We have Voyage and Sagittarius. I feel like for many of you, you wanted to travel. You wanted to kind of break free from stagnancy in this past life. It just feels like life was very much a routine, and there was a lot of fear around that. So in this current lifetime for pile number one, traveling could be very good for you. But most importantly, seeking your truth, finding your truth. Aquarius, the innovator. Yeah. You're rather unique, pile number one. Allow yourself to be eccentric. Allow yourself to kind of follow the internal guidance. Allow yourself to experiment. Find your way around things. Some of you could be Sagittarius or Aquarius. You don't have to be. Pisces is also coming in very strongly. Square, challenge. Yeah. In this past life, there was a lot of challenges for you. And I feel like part of the challenge was you wanted to expand. Your soul wanted expansion. Your soul wanted adventure. But your mind was boxing you in. It was almost like, I want to travel. Well, no, what if this happens? I'm afraid of flying. I'm afraid of driving, X, Y, and Z. Again, I don't feel like this past life was that long ago. I got 1920s for some of you. Take that as it resonates. I don't feel like you were born in 1920, but I did get 1920. So if the 20s meant anything for you, take that as it resonates. But this was a life that was full of challenge, and it had to do with challenges around your desire to expand and the limitations placed on self. Now, don't get me wrong, pile number one. I think some of those limitations came from outside sources as well, but there was certain limitations placed on self as well, where you wouldn't even allow yourself to try to break free. Let's take a look at this. The dog, loyalty, sincerity, unconditional love. Merlin, alchemy, justice, balance. You are here to balance this out. You are here to transmute this energy. Like I said, at soul level, for many of you, you decided to come back soon after crossing over because you wanted to have a second chance at this. And this is why you have so much angelic help. I feel like you enlisted angelic help for this. With the dog here, you are very loyal, very honest, very loving. Allow yourself to explore that energy. Allow yourself to show that to yourself and to others. Also, for some of you, you have a dog and that dog is actually part of your spirit team. If that resonates for you, you have a very special connection to this dog, like to the dog in your life. It's not just like, oh, that's my pet, I love my pet. It's like this dog, it's a whole nother level. It's like a soulmate type of energy. Perseverance, yeah. You are here. That's one thing that came from this past life. You persevered, and that is helping you in this current lifetime because you are not giving up. I feel like in this past life, you would get knocked down and you would kind of stay knocked down. In this lifetime, it feels like life knocks you down and you kind of pick yourself back up rather quickly. New beginnings. You are clearing karma. You are bringing balance and justice to this. You deserve this. Manifestation. You are master manifestors. You could be a life path number 1 or 8 is coming in strongly. Heart's desire could be number 4, or you could be a life path number 4. Take it as it resonates. But I do feel like you do have manifesting power. For some of you, if it resonates, some people believe Merlin was an actual deity. You could work with Merlin. Also, pile number 1, I am a believer that even if we want to work with fictional characters and use them as archetypes or deities, we can. So if you're called to work with Merlin, that is coming in very strongly. Cycles. Everything has its right time. Honor the cycles of your body. Tune in to the moon's magic. For some of you working with moon magic, but I'm getting that you're going to break this cycle in this lifetime. For many of you, you're going to be able to do it. And nature, ground yourself. Find the sanctuary in nature. Connect with the elements. When you're feeling overwhelmed and you need to ground yourself, work with nature. For my pile number 1s, having plants in the home could be very, very helpful to you. I'm also getting grounding by putting your hands or your feet into soil for pile number 1. All right, pile number 1, that is all I have for you. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you have any suggestions for future videos, you can leave that in the comment section below. And if you'd like to book a personal reading, I do have past life readings available on my Etsy store. Check out the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. Hi, pile number 2. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be your reading if you chose the Merlinite heart. It's a heavy one. I'm going to put it over there, move Grogu over. So let's get started. We're going to start with the tarot cards. As a reminder, it is a general reading, so take it as it resonates. Leave anything that does not resonate with you behind. I do offer past life readings on Etsy, so if you want a personal one, you can go there. Otherwise, just remember, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. All right, so we have the Page of Pentacles, King of Swords, 5 of Cups, the Magician, Ace of Wands for my pile number 2s. All right, pile number 2. So for your past life, there was a focus on the tangible. There was a focus on the material world. This means kind of work, the body, family, things that could be touched and felt, the tangible, right? I don't feel like there was a big focus on your spiritual existence in this past life. It feels like you were, focused on working, on gaining success, on gaining a certain level of comfort. There was also kind of a focus on, learning, expanding the mind. And in this past life, I will be honest, I don't feel like the emotional body and the spiritual body were of much concern. It feels more of, my main concern was, again, my job, my family, the things I could do, the tangible, the things that I could feel, the things I could engage with in the tangible reality of this world. You were very good at manifesting in this past life. I feel for many of you, you reached a point of being quite comfortable. And by this, I mean, for many of you, you had enough and then some. Or at the very least, you were comfortable enough that you didn't have to experience need or want in the sense of, the basics were provided for because you showed up and you did the work. For many of you, you were quite good at manifesting the material. So money, jobs. I feel like for many of you, you did reach a high level of education. I do see that here. But when it came to your emotional and spiritual life, there was a little bit of lack. There was a little bit of feeling like you were not satisfied. And I feel like for my pile number 2s, it was almost like you spent a lot of your life putting yourself into work, putting yourself into, whatever that was, learning new things, working on a career, working on a job, trying to make more money, trying to learn new things, kind of reach certain levels of achievements. That achievement is going to be different for different people because there are many of you watching. When it came to relationships, I do feel a little bit of lack for this pile. And I feel like in this current lifetime, you're kind of meant to focus on the emotions a bit more. You're meant to focus on finding emotional fulfillment more. But there's this energy of push and pull here that I feel, because I feel like for many of you in this current life, you could be focused, or perhaps at the, towards the earlier stage of life, you were focused on certain achievements, just like in this past life. And it feels like for some of you, being in connection with your feelings, with your emotions, feels a little bit hard or a little unfamiliar is what I'm getting. That energy of, I don't really know how to connect with my feelings. It's almost like you're not fully comfortable sitting with the emotions. And for some of you, you could be overworking yourself in this current lifetime, whether it's, through school or through work. And I also feel like for many of you, that level of comfort of being able to achieve certain things in the material realm has transferred over. But in this lifetime, it feels like there's a little bit more of wanting more satisfaction at a spiritual level and at an emotional level. Because it's almost like in this past life, you reached high levels of success. You reached your goals when it came to the material and tangible. But then when you got to, your life later on, like once it was time to retire or to really just kind of relax a little bit, there was a realization of grief, of I have no one to really share this with, of, I was so focused on other things that I perhaps missed out. There's a sense of missing out on something. So in this lifetime, it's kind of the chance to connect to others, to people, to passion, to the things that light you up, pile number 2. Let's take a look at the archetypes cards that came out. Look at this, lover, great passion and devotion, unbridled appreciation of someone or something, obsessive passion that harms others, self-destructive devotion. I feel like this is adding to this, right? It's saying in this lifetime, you're going to have the opportunity to work with this lover archetype, where in this past life, that wasn't really something that you focused on. And it was something that almost was lacking in your life. Then we have victim. Prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others, playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity, inability to maintain personal boundaries. All right, so for my pile number 2s, with this victim card, I feel like you were very strong in this past life. And I feel that you are very strong in this current lifetime. I do feel that. I don't feel that, woe is me, victim mentality within you guys. What I do feel is for my pile number 2s, there's this energy of, in this lifetime, you may be trying to connect. Because there's almost like this fear that you brought in of getting to the end and realizing that this is exactly what you are going to relive. Because I feel like for many of you in this past life, you lived a very long life. It doesn't feel like you passed on early on. It feels like this was a very long life, like you reached a level of retirement or a level of I no longer have to work, and that's when you realize now what. So there's a sense of almost for my pile number 2s not having boundaries when it comes to personal relationships, or kind of making concessions to people that maybe you shouldn't, because it's this energy of I want to connect, I want to be loved and held, and I want to have someone here. And sometimes that kind of plays against you because it's this energy of doing it from a place of fear and allowing the wrong people in. And I feel like this is more in this lifetime because of what happened in a past life. I don't feel in a past life this was the case at all. And I'm not in any way saying that you are a victim, pile number 2, because I don't feel that energy for you at all. I would tell you. I have no problem being honest. But it's almost a sense of working on boundaries and being careful not to allow yourself to be taken advantage of because you want to connect, because you want to feel connection with others. Knight. Loyalty, romance, and chivalry. A love of honor, shadow attributes, allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. It's almost like in this past life, because your romantic life did not pan out, it did not work in the way that perhaps you wanted it to. There's this energy of coming into this lifetime kind of looking for your person, looking for that great love affair. And there's this energy of just be careful how much of yourself you're willing to give. Be careful how much of yourself you are willing to almost sacrifice, and be careful with your boundaries. There's almost a need for my pile number 2s to kind of go and do some inner reflection and check in and say, where is my need to connect from coming from? What are my fears around connection? And how are those feelings, fears, ideas, how are they playing into the type of people I am bringing into my life currently? Let's take a look at, I want to see what these angel cards are, if I can get them. All right, pile number 2. There we go. Let's see what these say. Sorry, pile number 2, I moved you. Presence, Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, which is the archangel of purpose, right? Life purpose. And we do have the Ace of Wands, which is inspiration, and Archangel Michael, power. So you could work with Archangel Michael and or Archangel Gabriel. Take it as it resonates. But make sure that you are living in the present moment. I feel like for my pile number 2s in this past life, you truly struggled with being present. The focus was on reaching levels of success. And it was almost like, all right, so this is my achievement. Once you got to that achievement, there was something else to be done. There was something else to be attained. And there wasn't time to actually celebrate. There wasn't time to recognize all the milestones you were reaching. And that's how, it got to the point where at the end of your life, towards the end of your life, you kind of realize, like, I did everything I wanted to do. But there's no one here to really celebrate with. There's no one here to really connect with. So in this current lifetime, pile number 2, part of your purpose is to remain present, to be mindful, not to go too far into the future. Because I don't think my pile number 2s, I don't think you're going into the past. I think you're going into the future. Remember that the future is created in the now. The here and now is very important for my pile number 2s. Also, stepping into your power. Knowing that you have the ability to create the life that you want, that you don't have to that you don't have to have this energy of fear and stress and kind of just taking what's coming your way. That you are beautiful and you deserve beautiful things for being who you are. And being in your power and having boundaries and not allowing people to take advantage of you. Pile number 2. Let's take a look at these shadow cards, and I pulled these as part of, what your shadow self was in this past life. Addicted. I feel like this is talking about the addiction to work here, the addiction to achieving certain things. It could have been work, it could have been education. It just feels like whatever the focus was, it wasn't necessarily on connections with others. The child I was meant to be. We'll talk about that in a minute. So actually, let's talk about this before we even look at this card. Pile number 2. This sense of responsibility. This sense of I have to achieve X, Y, and Z. This sense of I have to do all of this. This came from someone who put that pressure on you. Who put the idea in your head of what it meant to be valued, to be loved. I feel like for my pile number 2s in this past life, your caretakers, your parents were very strict, very demanding. And there was a sense of you didn't necessarily have a childhood. You didn't have the opportunity to just be, to play, to connect with others. I almost feel like from a very young age, you had tutors, you had, things, places to go, things to learn. There was a lot of expectation. For many of you, you could have come from a very wealthy family, and that's where those expectations came from. Like, I'm almost getting it was like a full schedule just from the time that you were very young. Like 5 to 8 years old, you already had a full schedule, and that energy was pushed onto you into your adult life, and it was something that you kind of took on as part of your own identity. Today for tomorrow. What did we say? There's future tripping here. It's that energy of I'm going to sacrifice today for tomorrow. And it got to the point when you got to tomorrow. And what do I mean by that? When you got to your older age, when you got to the point of retirement, to the point of there is nothing else to achieve. That's you when you realized everything that you sacrificed, everything that you gave up. And there was a lot of grief, I feel like, for this pile in that later part of life. And again, I feel like that's the grief that is carried forth. And for this pile, if you take anything from this reading, if this is resonating with you, it's try to remain present, because there's a lot of focus on tomorrow. There's a focus on what is tomorrow going to bring? What is the future going to bring? And there's a need to just focus on the now. For many of you, connecting to your inner child would be very, very beneficial. Let's take a look at the astrology cards and see what we have here. 9th house, seeking. Yep. For many in my pile number 2s, there's something that you're seeking. It's this emptiness within you that you are seeking to fill. For some of you, you're trying to do that through a third party, by kind of finding someone to connect with. This feels very romantic for some of you. And it's this energy of you will have that. I feel like for many of you, there is that, that someone ready for you. But there's a need to kind of approach it from a different place. Ask yourself, why do you put up with certain behaviors from certain people? And this could even be friendships, family relationships. It doesn't have to be romance. Libra, the idealist. Yeah. There's almost a sense of wanting the perfect relationship, wanting the perfect life. You guys are definitely idealistic. There is a sense of people pleasing with Libra here as well. And I feel like that is why you need to work on boundaries, pile number 2. Because you deserve love, you deserve connection, union. Just based on who you are, you shouldn't have to give so much. And once you realize that, you're going to stop bringing in the wrong people. Cancer, the doula. Yeah, you're very sensitive. Connection is very important to this pile. You're very intuitive as well. And you were intuitive in the past life, but I feel like you weren't really in tune with that part of yourself. Restriction. Yeah. Communication. Yeah. In this past life, life felt very restricted. I'm sorry, pile number 2, I got interrupted there. But with restriction and communication, there was definitely a sense of restriction in this past life, as far as, because I feel like there was a sense of responsibility which kind of restricted what you felt you could do, especially with the child I was meant to be, which is kind of saying, that the child I was meant to be in today for tomorrow is kind of speaking to sacrifice, very Saturn, Capricorn energy. And communication is saying, in this current lifetime, communication is going to be very important for my pile number 2s. Make sure that you are communicating your needs and that you are open to speaking to what your needs are and what your expectations are. Again, setting boundaries. Let's take a look at... I did pull these past life cards. Let's see what we have here. Farm. For some of you, this past life, look at this. Vows could have been in a farm. I don't feel that strongly for many of you, but for some of you, it could have been in a farm. With the vows here, this is speaking to the vows that you kind of made to yourself. There was a lot of emphasis on achieving certain goals, on focusing on certain things, on, again, that energy of I am just going to focus on what I want to achieve. And, I also think that there was a vow here that was made to someone in the family, or it could have been to yourself, but it feels kind of like this, I am going to accomplish certain things. And that was almost done in a way that it was a vow. Male, female. So this card typically speaks to the fact that if you are, for example, female in this lifetime, you were a male in the past life, or if you are a male in this lifetime, you were a female in this lifetime. I'm sorry, in that past life. So I do feel that energy of kind of a flip. I feel like in the past life, many of you were the opposite gender. Father. This speaks to that responsibility. Father in astrology is typically Saturn energy, that very responsible energy. And that's that whole energy throughout this reading, that you were very responsible. You were kind of focused on the material, on providing. I do feel for many of you, you were a provider in this past life. And that's part of the reason why you had to work so hard and sacrifice so much. You cannot make this up. I do not see these before you do. I just kind of shuffle and see them when you do. This is, in this lifetime, in this current lifetime, the focus is going to be your love life, because in the past life, your love life was not a focus, and it was kind of a sore spot for you, pile number 2. Garden, something lovely will grow from this. Yeah. You're not meant to experience that sense of loss, grief, sadness, loneliness that was experienced in this past life. For many of you, you're going to have the opportunity to kind of set things right in this lifetime. And that's part of the reason that perhaps you're being called to focus so much on connections. And remember, connections doesn't necessarily have to mean love or romance. It could mean friendships, family relationships, anything that has to do with relating to others. Protest, start a revolution. Yeah, you're breaking free from the way that you're breaking free from necessarily having to live life through a mold. It could be that in this lifetime you have been pressured to take a certain path, and you're going to be breaking free from that. That is going to resonate for a few of you, not all of you. Adventure. Yep. You're meant to constantly evolve, change, go on adventures, be more spontaneous in this lifetime. Parenting. For many of you, there are pressures being put on you from parents or parental figures in your life. For others of you, being a parent in this life is something that matters to you and something that is important to you. I feel for many of you in the past life, you were not a parent, or if you were not very involved with the children. domestic harmony. Again, that sense of relationship, romance, connection, one-on-one. For many of you, this is about attaining a certain level of relationship in this lifetime because it was not done in a past life. Let's take a look at these last two cards. Innocence. Take time to play, nurture your inner child, live with a childlike sense of wonder. And what did we have here as part of the shadow self in this past life? The child I was meant to be. Losing that sense of innocence, not being allowed to be a child. So this is again saying inner child work for this pile. Courage, you are safe. Fear is an illusion. Set strong boundaries. Pile number 2, make sure that you are setting boundaries in place. Make sure that you're not compromising who you are and what is important to you in order to connect to others. I feel some of you are still learning this. I feel others of you have already learned this. Keep your boundaries in place. Allow yourself to play, to take a break. Don't overwork yourself. For many of you, you're facing fears. Most importantly, I think for most of my pile number 2s, do some inner child work. That's coming in very strongly. All right, pile number 2, that is all I have for you. If you like this reading, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post next. If you have suggestions for future videos, please leave that in the comment section below. And if you'd like to book a personal reading, I do have personalized past life readings on my Etsy store. That information is in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now. Hi, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be your reading if you chose the pink amethyst moon. And this is going to be your past life reading. Before we get started, just keep in mind this is a general reading, so take it if it resonates, leave it if it does not. I do offer personalized past life readings through my Etsy store, and that is in the description box below. All right, so first we have the Emperor, 9 of Cups, 9 of Pentacles, so far 2 9s. The Sun, I really like this one. 4 of Wands, okay, pile number 3, this is a good one. 4 of Swords. All right, I don't know why, I was going to say the 4 of Cups, so we're going to keep that in mind because I really wanted to say the 4 of Cups. All right, pile number 3, let's get started. So, one thing that I want to point out is that we have 2 4s and 2 9s. The 9 is all about completion, closing cycles. The 9 also encompasses all of the other numbers within its energy. So some of you could be a life path number 9, life path number 4. We have the energy of 4 here as well, which could be, you know, with the 4s, we have that sense of stability, responsibility, but the other side of that can be boredom, right? But we also have the Emperor and the Sun kind of flanking these on the side here. So let's talk about this. In this past life, the energy that I am getting for my pile number 3s is that many of you were quite ambitious. Many of you lived a very fulfilling life. There was kind of the pursuit of happiness and security. Security, stability, and happiness was very important for this pile. There was kind of a wish that you had, and I feel for many of you the wish was granted. You were able to make this a reality. You were able to make this, you know, something that you were able to accomplish. For many of you in this past life, though, you kind of were a bit burnt out. There was a lot of work, a lot of movement. There was kind of this energy of wanting to celebrate, wanting to take time out, but there was always something else to be done. And for some of you, you know, the lifestyle that you lived was very fast-paced, and it didn't really allow for much downtime where you could just be yourself or where you could kind of heal yourself and your energy. Now, for some of you, this was a very, overall, I do feel that for many of you, this was a very content past life. This was a lifetime where you were overall very content. But there was very little time for introspection. There was very little time to sit with self. Everything felt very much in outward expression than inward. I'm sorry, there's something coming in. Yeah, this is what I feel that was kind of lacking in this past life. This energy of not being able to truly just be. There was always something happening, always something going on. You didn't really get time to rest. You didn't really get time to connect with your inner world. Life was constantly on the go. I actually want to take a look at these archetype cards. 1 second. And this pile did get an extra one. What did I say? Athlete. Dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower and strength of spirit. Shadow attributes, misuse of athletic ability for selfish ends, false sense of invulnerability and entitlement. Yeah. This is talking about how much on the go you were. It's that energy. It's almost like you were always on the go. There was very little time to stop. You were very blessed in this past life. But again, there was very little time and space to connect with the inner self. Beggar. Light attributes confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. Shadow attributes dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. I feel like for most of you, you were on the light attributes of this. And again, it's this energy of you being on the go. You constantly being moving, you constantly achieving new things. There wasn't time for rest. I want to say for some of you, it was almost that you weren't in tune with your body to understand when you were being asked by your body to take a rest. And I feel like there were instances in this past life where you kind of fell ill or you were forced to slow down because otherwise you would not slow down. Some of you could definitely be very athletic in this current lifetime. That's coming in strongly. Runners, for some reason, is coming in. Goddess. Light attributes the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. Shadow attributes exploitation of the female nature and form. And then we have engineer. Light attributes ability to give creative energy a practical expression. Talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. Shadow attributes reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. Yeah. There was a disconnect between you and your body. For many of you, you were not in tune with the body. You were not in tune with the receptive energy. It was this energy of always being in the masculine, always being on the go, always being focused on what was coming next, on what needed to be accomplished next. There wasn't much time for rest and relaxation. There wasn't much time for receptivity. It was always go, go, go. And there was this energy of almost burning yourself out through physical exertion and even through the mind. And not knowing, not having enough knowledge or respect for self, lovingly, respectfully, to know when to slow down and when to give yourself a break, when to allow healing to take place, when to allow the universe to work for you and things to be given to you. And I do feel it worked in this past life to a certain extent. Because I feel like for some of my pile number 3s later on in life, you dealt with health issues that arose from not giving yourself enough time to rest, to work with your body, to regenerate. It's almost like you worked yourself to the bone. Let's take a look at what we have with these angel cards. Freedom, Archangel Michael. We have the healing angel here with Archangel Raphael. For many of you, healing. And it was very physical, but also emotional and spiritual healing that we're talking about here. Because you pushed yourself too far. And there's a sense of freedom in this lifetime if you can break free from needing to constantly go. Regardless of gender, I feel like my pile number 3s are more comfortable operating from the masculine. Archangel Michael, insight. Yeah. What did I say? There wasn't much time for pausing, for reflection, for contemplation, for the inner world. And in this lifetime, for many of you, you're going to be given that opportunity to go within. You're going to be given the drive, kind of that desire to connect within. Now, one thing I want to say about the sun is it is one of the most positive cards in tarot, and it can mean happiness, joy, inspiration. But the other side of the sun is, if we get too close to the sun, what happens? We burn out. So remember that, pile number 3. Let's take a look at, I picked these shadow self cards as the shadow self in your past life. Queen of my world. Black flower fragrance. Gilded regret. Yeah. Queen of my world here is really speaking to kind of what I've been seeing, that energy of being queen, being, and regardless of gender, we're saying queen because that's what's on the card, but that energy of being sovereign over your own life and kind of creating the life that you want, being almost your own royalty, achieving the things that you wanted to achieve. With that emperor here, a lot of stability, a lot of material gain. With the sun here, a lot of, happiness to a certain degree. But it also, at the cost of what, pile number 3, is the question here. Because it feels like this past life took a toll on your physical body, on your inner world. And it's even possible that for some of my pile number 3s, this carried into this lifetime, meaning that you may struggle with certain ailments from time to time. You may struggle with certain feelings of not feeling well, of dis-ease, right? But there was a sense of again, at the cost of what did this success come? At the cost of what did meeting these goals come? At the cost of what did this outer sense of happiness comes? Because again, there was a disconnection between the outer self and the inner self, the outer world and the inner world, in a sense. And pushing yourself a little bit too far. Disconnecting from the emotional body, from the spiritual body to attain certain things. And in this lifetime, freedom is going to be key for this group. Very interesting. Let's take a look at what we have here. Wars and battles. I feel like for many of you, this was not a time of war and or battle. I actually feel like for many of you, this was internal. And for many of you, you kind of chose to honor what was expected, the things that you wanted in the tangible world, instead of kind of going within and figuring out what you wanted in your internal world. Now, for some of you, for very few of you, this could have been a time of war. And this is why you had to kind of disconnect and there was very little time for rest. We also do have a lot of cards alluding to the physical state. So for a few of you, this was a time where wars and battles were being fought. And I do feel that you did get injured in this past life during a war or a battle. If that resonates with you, you'll know. But there was very little time to kind of connect to that and recover from it. But I feel like for most of you, it's more of the internal war and battle with self. And, do I go within or do I continue to push through certain feelings, certain ideas? Asia. So this could have taken place in Asia. Galactic. Some of you just didn't feel like you fit in. So you were working very hard to fit in, to be respected. For some of you, you thought that having financial gains would actually get you respect. You could feel like the black sheep of the family, you could feel like you just don't belong, like people don't understand you even in this lifetime. There was a sense of that in this past life, and it was kind of the drive for trying to fit in, for trying to achieve certain things, for trying to be seen as successful. There was a sense of, I am going to gain respect. Phobias. Yeah, what did I say? The sense of trying to gain respect. This came from a place of fear for many of you. And in this lifetime, you're going to have the opportunity to kind of go within a bit more, to honor your body, to rest. And I keep getting that for some of you, you came into this current lifetime with certain health issues as a result of this past life. And that's why this past life is coming in for you. If that does not resonate, there's definitely a need to be in tune with your body and take breaks, because I do feel like pile number 3, you could be someone who pushes the envelope as far as to how much you do and how much you work and how much you push yourself to do. Let's take a look at these two. Death. Burden. Yeah. I will be honest, I feel like for some of my pile number 3s, it feels like you may have passed away early on in life. Take that as it resonates. But death here is definitely speaking of a transformation of how you go about things. A transmutation from this past life into this current life. With burden, you carried a lot of burdens. For some of you, this was very physical. For many of you, it was many physical burdens, but also the sense of responsibility. The sense of needing to show up and do things a certain way. I do feel that for some of you, you were in charge of taking care of others. If this war and battles resonates with you, where you feel that you were definitely in a war or in a battle of some sort, it could have been that you were in the higher ranks, that you were kind of leading people into this, leading soldiers into this. And that was a heavy burden to carry for many of you. Even if this does not resonate with you, the pushing yourself too far was a burden on your body, but also on your spirit. Some of you may have some shoulder pains to go with this, and this is possibly from this past life. Let's take a look at important astrology from this past life. Allowing. Yeah, there was a struggle when it came to allowing. And in this lifetime, you're supposed to be more in the flow of things. And you did choose the moon, which is all about cycles, learning to flow. The moon is always changing. You're not meant to have a fixed energy. You're not meant to kind of have this stagnancy of the emperor. And I just noticed we have 4, 4, 4. You could see that number often. But again, you're releasing that energy. You're transmuting that. And you're stepping into a more spiritual and fluid energy, where you are surrendering, you are allowing things to happen. Uranus, revolution. So it could have been that you were alive during the time of a revolution, but I think this is speaking to, for many of you, the breakthroughs that are available to you in this lifetime. The transformation with death. The closing of old ways of being and finding new ways of doing things. Being innovative. Breaking through certain belief systems. For many of you, I should say for a few of you, you're here to bring about a new way of doing things. Because we have Uranus and we have engineer. Air signs very heavy in this reading. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Look at this. I do not see these cards before you do. Gemini. You are very intelligent, pile number 3. With Galactic here, Uranus, and Engineer, some of you are meant to come up with something new, a new way of doing something. It's going to vary from person to person, but it could have to do with communication. For some of you, this is going to be very internet-based or very technology-based. Take that as it resonates. But you're very intelligent. Try not to be rigid. Surrendering, allowing is going to help you. Stepping into the feminine is going to help you, pile number 3. Homeward, take yourself out on a date. So this is kind of speaking of give yourself breaks, right? Because we had that 4 of Swords here, and we talked about this in this past life, that sense of kind of being so busy, doing so much, being so rigid. This is kind of saying, make sure that you balance out. Make sure that you give yourself break times. Make sure that you take time to relax. With Lavender, surround yourself with love. And lavender is also, about relaxing. Some of you could definitely have lavender around the house. That would help. Even use lavender as a smudge. Lavender essential oils. But make sure that you are connecting to others. Everything doesn't have to be work, work, work. Give yourself a break, pile number 3. Patience. Yeah. There's a need to be patient here. Allow things to happen. You don't have to make everything happen for yourself. Learn when it's time to be patient and take a break and allow things to happen for you. Financial discipline. For some of my pile number 3s, like I said, in this past life, it feels like you were quite comfortable. Make sure that you are disciplined with your finances in this current lifetime. But this is also speaking to the fact that not everything has to be about finances. Not all the focus has to be on the tangible. For some of you, create a budget. Forgiveness. Who do you have to forgive? I feel like you could be quite harsh on yourself, pile number 3. Quite harsh with yourself at times. Delight. Look at this. Count your blessings and enjoy life. Take pleasure in simple things. Always expect the best. What were we talking about? Stepping into this feminine. Stepping into receptivity. Doing the work, but recognizing when you've done your part and when it's time to be receptive, when it's time to expect the best and allow opportunities to come in for you. Connecting to the inner child, taking yourself out, treating yourself, connecting to the people that you love. Hope, stay positive. The worst is behind you. Look up to the light. Hope is very important for pile number 3. You don't have to make things happen. You're not in charge of making everything happen. In fact, you cannot always control the outcome. That's a lesson for pile number 3. Keep your hope, keep your optimism. Learn to balance all that you do when it comes to work and play. It's okay to work hard, but it's also necessary to take a break, to connect within, to rest, to regenerate yourself, to meditate, to take a nap, to go out and treat yourself to something nice. All right, pile number 3, that is all I have for you. If you like this reading, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post next. If you have suggestions for future videos, you can leave that in the comment section below. And finally, if you'd like to book a personal reading, that is in the description box below. It's a link to Etsy, and that is how you purchase personal readings with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.